The Sporland division of Parker Hannifin proudly sponsors the Advanced Refrigeration Podcast. There are a lot of questions surrounding the transition to A2L refrigerants and a lot of talking heads disseminating nebulous answers. But when your technician is face-to-face with the first A2L transition project, where do you turn for real-world answers about this specific job? Parker Sporland's Virtual Engineer is an innovative online design tool to size and select the correct components for climate control and refrigeration applications. Get your A2L system flow and component selection answers in 3 simple steps. Enter your application details, size, and select products, then download your project files. It's that easy. Try it at absolutely no cost. Visit sporland.com and navigate to the Resource Center. Parker Sporland, leading the charge.
But what's wrong with the Jeep?
Just threw it out and beat the shit out of it yesterday. So it's gonna clean it. And
But you said you got to find out what's wrong with the antenna.
oh no, that was in my truck. I broke that off at the airport
Why?
because every time I go to the airport and I fly out of Midway, my antenna hits like the parking deck structure the entire time I'm like into the parking garage. It is like a 1/16 of an inch too long. Well, finally, it broke the antenna bracket. I was like coming out of the parking garage. I was like, mother,
Amazing.
this is off at an angle. I'm like, this better not break my windshield.
Yes, you got to get air shocks for your truck so it's not so damn high.
I have air ride
All right, well, you
But
can
I'm-
when you go
I'm-
in the parking.
because I'm poor and I don't have. I have to manually fill the air shocks up and down because I'm poor.
I hear this poor shit. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Advanced Refrigeration Podcast. You're the host, Brett Wetzel and Kevin Compass. How was your week? I heard you got a lot of frequent flyer miles.
I was hectic. I flown down to North Carolina.
How was that?
Yeah, that was chaotic. Had some decent barbecue, maybe better than Texas. I don't know at this point. It's pretty good.
Better than your favorite place down there?
No, it's hard to compete with Terry Black Smokehouse.
It's different, right? Like they use different things.
It is. It's different. Then I hit St. Louis up and had St. Louis barbecue.
How's that?
It's good. They do macaroni and cheese better down there. It just hits differently.
So that's all you did is just ate barbecue at every place that you went. So you went to North Carolina, and then
Yeah.
you just pointed things wrong and then left, or what?
No, we fixed some stuff on the pump skids and figured out prints that were messed up. And then it's hard to make the pump skids work on a 1996 rack controller.
What do you mean? You don't
They just don't work.
like the Pico?
What? I literally,
Really?
I'd rather have a Danfoss controller on it. I'd rather have any controller but that Pico. I think it's awful.
There's not very many things you like, though.
Yeah, but Corel sucks. They refuse to support their product unless you go to the OEM. If you call Corel for support, they're going to ask you what it's in, and they're going to tell you, nope, call them.
And that's because that Pico 5 is programmable, right? So you can put
Yeah.
whatever program you want. So it's like the same thing they do with the Hill Phoenix stuff, where if it says Multimax on it, they're like, nope, gotta go Hill Phoenix. Because
But if it's got
Phoenix-
Danfoss in it, and I call Danfoss for tech support, doesn't matter if it's some crazy programmable thing, Danfoss is going to help me. If I call Copeland, and it's got something Copeland in there, and it's got some crazy program in the background, they're going to help me. Corel's is like pound sand. Through the RDM, it's got some crazy program in the background. They're going to help me.
Yeah, true. All right, that sucks. So what did you have to do up? So you went from
Yeah.
and then from North Carolina to where?
Indiana to Illinois to North Carolina, and then from North Carolina to St. Louis, then St. Louis back to Illinois, then back home.
When'd you get home?
8:00 at night because my flight got delayed because I talked to you that day and just asked you myself. I've learned that on days that I'm flying, I can't have any communication with you at all. Because anytime I talk to you, my flight gets delayed. And you're just a horrible, draws you in. Anytime like there's any storm or anything, it's just like draws right to you.
Which
Memphis this week. Yeah,
I
your
love-
flight got delayed.
was training down a mechanical down there in Memphis. Then we went to 2 different sites, and I don't know if it was 2 different customers we went to just to scope out. And man, did I send you the picture of that oil?
Yeah, the rust oil.
The rust oil, that was awful. I can't tell if it was, I'm pretty sure it was moisture, but then the oil separator looked really black. Like it looked like someone like heated something up, tried to fix a weld or something. So I have no idea. Why are you smiling and laughing?
I'm just reading the group chat.
The kids?
No, that oil was disgusting. Probably gonna burn some stuff up eventually.
Really, probably soon. Probably soon. Yeah, and like you said,
Let's go into your PAC controller.
I know. You want to go into actually setting it up, or do you want to? Yeah, we'll do the.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. We'll start from scratch. What are you chuckling about? All right. So whenever you start the PAC controller or whatever you start the software, the smart tool, you have to open up the configuration one first. Because if you don't, it yells at you. It doesn't really yell at you. If you don't, so this is where you'd set up the COM port, just like you were talking to the USB to 9 pin on the E2. And so whenever you have to change any of the COM port stuff, this is where you have to start. So you use like a printer cable. I don't know if you can see blue cable going up to the PAC controller right up there. So setting up the COM port should be set up.
When he says printer cable, it's a USB B cable. You're not explaining that good enough.
I'm sorry, USB. What is it? A to B, right?
Yeah, it's an A to B. So it's that cable that comes in like everything that nobody ever uses and just throws to the side. So it's also the same cable for the Danfoss drives. I have 10 of them in my office from random things like power supplies for computer backups for some reason come with them. But so in case you want to keep your printer running. But
printer cable. When you set this up, if you don't little spinny on there that you saw, chances are it's going to yell at you and say you're not communicating to it. First thing you're going to do is go to the wrench. Typically, you can't do any kind of programming. This move us over. Cool. All right. Typically, you can't do any programming to this until you unlock it. So it needs to be unlocked and the main switch needs to be off. Otherwise, it yells at you and says you can't make changes because it's not working. Well, once you go back,
it's impossible to tune something you can't tune while it's running.
I don't understand. That's the only thing I don't like about this thing. And I know you're going to say, I don't like everything about it, but that's the one thing I don't understand. When you go to system setup, you can put it in English units, daylight savings, all that other stuff. And disable alarm transmission. You want to hit no because you really don't want to. You want to still be able to turn on the alarms. Keep hitting the home button thinking it's going to take me back to the home. Please don't keep hitting the home button. That's what I keep doing. You can set this thing up on an IP address when you have to communicate to the 880 or 850, or you can connect to it like that. You don't have to actually use the LAN network. It transmits the data a whole bunch faster. We're not even going to do that because I'm just hooked up directly to the PAC controller. So the first thing you're going to do is go to application selection. So I was playing around with this morning, so I'm not really going to change a bunch of stuff. But I just want to show you like everything that you got here. So 1PAC high pressure, 1PAC high pressure plus IT. So this would be if you just have a medium temp suction, no low temp suction, and then you have your high pressure valve and your high pressure control. Then 1PAC plus high pressure plus IT. IT stands for, oh my goodness, I can't think of the words. Help me out here. IT, intermediate
Temperature.
Yeah. So the intermediate temperature would be essentially like if you had a parallel compressor. But if you're not using parallel compressor, don't worry about anything with the plus IT. Just as essentially a section. If I could talk this morning, it would be amazing. Another suction group that is essentially just controlling your flash tank pressure. Yeah, that's all that's doing. So I'm just doing booster HP. So that means it's going to have a low temperature, medium temp suction group. Condenser control, I'm just doing that I have 3 condenser fan motors. I haven't gotten to the point yet because usually when you have every time you build something in the condenser control, as far as Danfoss, it'll usually give you the amount of outputs that you need on this thing based off of what you actually program. So if I do one, I don't know if it's going to give me an output yet or not. I'm going to show you something in a little bit so you can see that. Heat recovery, I'm doing
tap water.
So that's a tap. So you could do a tap and heat, right? You could do heat reclaim or none. So I'm doing tap water. I like the fact that it said tap water. Set point management. I haven't really figured out really what this is. I think it's going to help you make better decisions when you start putting in stuff where it thinks estimated. I don't know why you're laughing. Hopefully it's at the group chat because yeah, I know it's not. Stop it. And then quick new selection. Do also make sure you try to scroll down because sometimes you can't really see the little scrolly on the side there. So make sure that you might have other things in here that you can't see. But then once you go back, then the first thing we're going to go to is medium temp suction group. And so you have set point plus EXT and then reference plus night. So I just have it set for the set point of 18 degrees saturated. Offset filter, I have 300 seconds. And so what I could figure out when I was trying to figure this out.
Offset filter of 300 seconds, so 5 minutes.
Well,
That's why the suction group graph looks good.
No, that's the time. That's the time filter for the offset changes to avoid fluctuations. Oh wait, that would be
5 minutes. What are we doing this with? You got somebody in there turning it on and off.
All right, but that's why we're going through it. So what would all right? So 10 seconds, right? That's the minimum we.
Sure.
You said 10. It's just. Oh my god! All right, max.
Check out that sweet min reference of 5 degrees.
What would you like to see the min reference to be?
Like a plus 20, considering 90% of these cases are like a plus 28 now.
See, I don't know if the min reference is reduced from there.
Well, it's a negative float. Been seeing a lot of people programming those lately.
Oh, really?
Get a negative float. Get cold enough, you just give it some less suction pressure.
Fine. We'll do this. No, I was going to do 26.
We need more commentary here too. He said he would jump on and provide extra commentary.
Would he really?
He's driving.
No, okay.
It's going to sound like shit.
To the buffet.
Stop it.
You started it. All right. Let's see. Yeah. All right. So there we go. So I don't know why it's not showing the rest. Oh, here we go. Then you have to keep doing the plus and minus to see all the other options here. So we have number of compressors, number of unloaders. So we're not going to do, we're going to do unloaders. External compressor stop. I don't know what that is. Oh, maybe like maybe an input. Maybe an input.
It's probably shut down like a emergency button or.
Which would probably be good to have to do like for unless I already programmed a phase loss in there. We could have some other input that'll basically shut it down. Control MT. Okay, so yeah, the PO is what they use, pressure output for the medium temp. So that's what they're using for the control sensor.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of all these acronyms they had.
I struggle.
Then they change them from controller to controller. It makes them even more irritating.
I struggle with them a lot. I was trying to, what's that?
Wherever that cheat sheet you made.
I have a cheat sheet somewhere. I just got to find it.
Where did Dylan make that?
No, I made it. It came from something else, and then I churched it up. Step control, cyclic. Someone figured out cyclic or best fit.
Best fit.
Best fit. Oh, wait. Best fit. So Liam's in conflicts. Unsuction sounds. Okay. Oh, that's if you had unloaders. So cancel. So we got to keep it cyclic. Medium temp, low temp threshold. There's so many set points in this thing. Like this, because like it's funny. Have you ever seen one of those CO2 racks actually running off the PAC controller?
Yes, one of them.
So it's however many settings are in the damn E2 or in the E3. There's a ton of them in here. So like you can set up your compressors, your HPV, your BGV, your oil system, your liquid injection, all through this freaking PAC controller. Because otherwise you'd have to do a shit ton of calculations in order to get some stuff working. Stop it. I hate you. Why?
Why? Because we're a Copeland brand.
I'm still waiting. Still waiting. Early stop and zone, and then pump down enabled. Do you ever put your pump downs on? Like if it were to go way too low?
No, because no.
Why? You don't want it to stop and then restart and stop and restart?
No, I don't. Okay. Just let it keep running to the moon.
So this is where you would set up your compressor. Why is it in this? I put it in English units. I don't understand why it's using, I forget what this actually is. Feet to velocity, but it's not BTUs. So obviously you'd set it up to whatever that compressor is. It looks like I'm going to need a calculator in order to, actually I think I have one. Hold on.
Feet 3H.
It's a velocity. I know it's a velocity. See, I always have this up in meetings so that I know what they're talking about stuff. Because when I'm on some meetings, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're designing a 4 megawatt," and I'm like, I'm trying to figure out the calculation.
They're designing it in the U.S. They need to talk in tons, not kilowatts and megawatts and megillowatts.
Doc Brown didn't do that though. Energy, no, it would be flow, feet per hour. Damn. All right, well, I'm gonna have to figure that out later. I'm not gonna take time to do it because it should be cubic feet per minute then, right? Yes.
Sure. I just punch in random numbers that are bigger.
Yeah, but see, I don't know how that works with the Danfoss.
It's got to be the same.
No, it's not, because like there's certain things that have an effect on that. So if you have, if you have a BGV and you have an IT compressor, it has to know when it's going to actually stop using the BGV and then start using the actual IT compressor for that.
Yeah, so when it doesn't make it on the BGV, then it gives more compressor.
Absolutely horrible. I have to edit this today.
I know. I'm sorry.
I have so much shit that I got to do. So
it could be so much worse if I send 2 links out.
Hold on. Let me turn off your authorization. Get Jimmy on.
Jimmy and Dylan.
Dylan really likes it though.
You couldn't handle me and James together.
No, probably not.
Okay, so DFD settings. This is pretty easy.
Yes, your limit, alarm, max, safety reset.
Superheat alarm. It's pretty high because most of the time you ain't getting that. You're going to struggle to keep it above 13.
Oh, okay. I was the one who set that up because I was trying to figure out, okay, so if you have, that'll get you all the way up to a 65-degree return temp. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you think the high superheat should be then? Because that's
a max superheat alarm is 45. That's not bad. But I'm saying the minimum is a little high.
Really?
Yeah, you're going to get nonstop alarms.
At 13?
Fuck yeah.
You mean even have a compressor that's supposed to only have 20 anyway?
Yeah, I'll tell that to every manufacturer that where the BGVs is slugging them away.
So anyway,
Anybody that doesn't have a heat exchanger on there, they're just drinking it because the hot gas injection doesn't do enough. It's hard to inject hot vapor into the suction when the compressor's drinking cold liquid. What? It's the truth.
it is the truth.
It is the truth.
So oil pressure safety, I just put yes on there. So that means they're going to have some kind of input there. Motor protective safety, that's if you have some sort of alarm that's going to be activated. Because if you wouldn't have it if it was in the individual circuit, I guess this is probably just creating an input, right? So if I did motor protector, yes, then it would probably make me a input for that. Same thing, discharge temperature, discharge pressure safety, something that you have an input. SD, sensor discharge sensor for the compressor. Most of them do have it at this point. Max discharge temperature, I did about 248. And that is it. Go over. Min off time, min on time. Do you think there should be anything for the compressors for min on and off?
I go back and forth with this. We've had some where we've had to do some, where we've had like extreme cycling issues, but no, I generally don't because I think it messes up the PID calculation on the controller.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's why I actually set it to 0.
Yeah,
Recycle time.
we've had some where we've absolutely had to do it because when you got 3 compressors, and you got a 30, you don't get very much load coverage there.
Yeah. Step compressors. So this is just for the variable speed ones. This is the same settings except for the step compressors. So we'll just keep rolling. Control off of injection. See, I haven't figured out what the difference is between DO and network. So I just put digital output and network because I didn't know what that actually meant. I'm going to figure all that stuff out later. So I will show you what I did. What's nice about this, if you ever had to look at the set points, you could actually go to print the set points. Instead of actually printing them, you can convert it to a PDF. And this actually will then give you all the set points that you actually put in there. And my hope is that I can take this and compare what was going on pre and post if I'm ever trying to figure out something that's kind of messed up. So you can see here, we haven't gotten there yet, but this is the management for the receiver control. And so you can see what the pressure band is, with the min, with the max, and what the high is and stuff like that.
I will always say this, Danfoss does a bang-up job of the receiver control. I will give them credit where credit is due. It doesn't come out tuned, but like you can walk them in fairly easy.
And the HPV.
It's the same thing. You are doing great receiver control without doing good HPV control.
Fine. All right. So injection start, they have that at 10 degrees. And oh, that's differential. Sorry. Injection start, I have a 36 degrees. And then inject differential on the suction line because you can do whether it's the superheat. So normally this takes either a flexible combiner or 2 sensor controls. On this one, I have it just off of superheat and discharge temperature in case something were to happen with the compressor. At least can try to mitigate some of that high discharge temperature. And then once we're done with those parameters, you go back and then you go back to the low temp group and go ahead. I didn't hear anything from the peanut gallery over there. So anything that you have a problem with, let me know.
Today's episode is sponsored by the RefraShield RDP Series differential pressure monitors from Westermeyer Industries, now available for transcritical CO2 systems in addition to other common pressures and refrigerants. When the filter element of your coalescing oil separator is contaminated, it can hurt your system's performance and efficiency. But how do you know when it's time to replace that filter? Wait too long to replace, and you could end up with a nasty filter blowout. But replacing too often can be a waste of time and money. The answer is installing a differential pressure monitor. The RDP Series differential pressure monitors, including the new transcritical CO2 model, are available now from Westermeyer Industries. To find out more information, email sales@westermeyerin.com. That's WESTERMEYERIN.com.
So pretty sweet match reference.
All right, I missed that.
Really saving some energy here.
I'm trying to make that relief pop. You're such a jackhole.
We should eliminate all the low temp reliefs
Why?
because they aren't needed.
Okay, you talk to your boy Dylan about that.
I wanted to talk to Dylan.
Just saying.
Let it relieve into the medium temp.
That would be a lot better. Let everything relieve off of there.
Yeah. It's the same pipe.
Makes sense for me. All right. Offset filter. All right.
Got the old 5-minute offset.
It's gonna be the suction's gonna look good if it's changing every 5 minutes.
By the time it gets to the logging, it'll be 10.
So we're looking at the pressure for this, obviously, number of compressors we have. We're not doing, well, and let's add another stop on there. Yes. Cyclic. Early stop in zone. I don't know what that is. Early stop in zone. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it off right now. I did 20 hertz up to 60. See, this is what I didn't understand. Why would you do a VSD start speed of 45?
I don't know. I'd rather start the VFD at minimum speed.
Yeah, let's do it.
So that way it doesn't overshoot.
Unless you put your delay in there. The easy PI section, this is how fast you're going to go or how fast you're going to speed up or slow down the loading and unloading of this thing. So if we're doing the VFD, screw it, let's do fastest.
Number 10 sounds like it's the compressor machine gun.
What? No, this is just on the VFD compressor, yeah? No? Yes?
I don't know. Choose a torque limit maker in the
The torque's going to be taken care of by the VFD.
Yeah.
Torque
lockout.
No, the torque stall is going to be done by the VFD initially. You're such a dick. So what he's referring to is how fast the VFD has to ramp up to at least get up to speed. And that's always controlled by the VFD itself. Don't ever mess with that. If you see it set for 3 seconds, leave it set for 3 seconds as long as it's not overamping that compressor when it goes the initial start. This doesn't matter how fast that we ramp up and ramp down. All right, fine. I'll start at 7 if you're going to have a shit about it. KP. See, this is where... Oh, no, that's an automatic thing that it generated. 2 filter, 2 seconds, show advanced setting. Just stop the second stop delay and compressor running DO. All right, here's your displacement where you'd set the size of your compressors. And sensor discharge here. PC pressure. Excellent. If we're doing the suction group, probably be if it's 220 psi, 250?
What?
What are you doing?
This is a Sunday.
Any input would be great here.
You started this podcast in the middle of an argument. All right. I'm assuming that's the suction, or is it the
Suction, so we're low temp suction here.
50 degrees? Most of them are so hot coming back because we don't use EPRs.
No, this is suction limit when it's talking about pressure, because remember every single time.
Yeah.
So -20 for actually it would be -25 probably for that, or -22. Top limit, I don't know. Minus number of feet, no, 15.
Did you say number of feet?
No, I was trying to figure out what number I was going to put in there. Shut. Superheat a min alarm. Not liking that.
2.
2. Why 2?
Because 2 is not liquid.
Seriously.
I'm being serious. 2 to 5, maybe. It's low temp, so 15 to 20. They could take it.
No, they can't.
You saw it. They can.
I saw the pictures. I fucking can't with you today. Not at all. Superheat max. So let's see, minus 20, 20, 40.
Go 50.
Yeah. And then superheat delay.
144 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes? God, what are you trying to wake some service guy up at 2 o'clock in the morning for alarm?
Before the compressor ends up taking a shit. Common safeties, oil pressure safety. Same thing we went over with the other section group. Anti-short cycle timer, same thing with the other one. And have you ever seen any kind of liquid injection?
Yeah, I was just going to say this. I've never seen liquid injection or hot gas injection in a low temp. I think it should be there.
I think so too. Like, I like the hot gas for the section.
I like the liquid injection. Hell, like, dude, half those compressors run so damn hot because they're all controlling off of temperature instead of using the EPR, and they have such poor control. Doesn't matter what case control manufacturer in there because they're all controlling temp, and it's not a steady superheat.
Yeah, but they don't have it for the most part. Not in the States here anyway. Let's see. That will go to... This is the one. We're going to cover this next time because I have questions on the oil management because they have low and high only. So that makes sense. But there was some other settings in here that were 2 separators, 1, and level switch. You can actually go low and high. And you know what it was? There was more settings in there when you were first initially setting this up. They had like other options. But yeah, this is for essentially turning on. This is where I was confused. I need to look this up. Pressurizing interval wouldn't be 15 minutes.
That seems like a...
And that's the thing. That's the lowest.
Is it every 15 minutes? It pressurizes no matter what? That's probably what it is. That seems awful high for time. I would think 5 minutes.
Look at the options. You got 1 day, 12 hours, 1 hour.
You should just choose 1 day.
Just randomly. All right. Level switch. Repeat oil return cycle. Oh, this is just where it's strictly timed, but it's going to be timed off of whatever this is. So number of periods, no oil separator alarm delay.
What are we?
I don't know why you keep laughing. 5 minutes. There we go.
That's excessive. How about an hour?
Fine.
5 weeks.
Number of periods. This is what I don't understand. So period time would be you do 60 seconds and then that's 40 and 20 maybe.
Yeah. I like a longer open time to give it some time to drain, especially it's not bad when you're transcritical. It drains pretty quick, but when you're running subcritical, sometimes the oil gets lazy.
I got a PID, and you're gonna laugh now, but I got a PID because I'm making training for a KW rack, and they got a high pressure oil system in there.
Yeah, Carnot's had them for years.
No, I know. That's a lot.
I like them until one of the hoses leak, and then you just hate your life.
That's the only thing. I'm like, it's great until it gets a.
Yeah, then a tiny little pinhole, paint the whole room, floor to ceiling.
Yeah, you can see that happening. I'm going back. Go to condenser fan control. Go ahead and start whatever you're going to say about these settings. So,
well, they look great.
Are you being serious? I can't tell if you're being serious or not.
Yeah, it looked great. Max reference 122.
No, that would be too high, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, so if you shit, 104.
I wouldn't even put it that. I put it at 87.
Because after that's but I thought,
I don't know. You tell me.
See, gas cooler. Because the HPV is usually set for a max of 1450, which is 104 if it's allegedly. Okay. So, all right. So fine. So once it gets up to 86, then it'll just want to, oh yeah, that's right. This is condenser fan. So we want the fans to just ramp, go all the way up at that point after anyway.
Correct.
Yes. Start to be men. So what do you think about this? Because I don't know for the start capacity. Like I was thinking that 50. So if it just starts,
those ECM motors start awesome when they're that low still.
No, the only reason why I was even debating is so if you have a failure, there is some settings where upon a failure it wants to ramp the fans up to 50% to see how it handles when it starts back up. Because you're gonna have an excessive load, so that's what I was figuring out. Should I put this to 50% and then let it ramp back down?
No, I'd rather it start slow because otherwise, every time in the wintertime when it shuts down, it's going to ramp to 50% and absolutely just murder itself.
Bury it. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. I wasn't sure. Key P. Let's see if I figured out what that key P was yet.
KP it's the P band, and TN is going to be your I band.
Okay. So P and I here. Oh yeah, that's why it says P and I control. All right, so 180 seconds probably before it makes some kind of random decision. Then 5 degrees high and low. Capacity limit. I don't even know why that's on. And then this, I figured out the V3 GC is essentially the gas cooler bypass. So you have the option to do the bypass in this part of the controller. HP control. Go ahead. Murder me here. What do you have to say about this?
Doesn't look bad. You know what? I've been floating around with this minimum pressure because why not make it close to receiver? I mean, you get down to the minimum. I have to look more into the compressor minimums. Obviously, they got to have a minimum so you don't float a valve, but why not?
You agree with this, the 1450?
Yeah, I've been lowering a little bit, like 1350-ish, but we don't run. I don't live in Satan's paradise.
I've noticed a lot of people they've been oversizing the gas coolers, and they've been doing an outlet temperature a little bit lower than what I've seen before in the past, where it was saying instead of doing 1450, they were doing like 1300 for the max and stuff.
Yeah, I've been setting mine 1350-ish. We have, if it's hot and like you're like Uvalde, Texas, yeah, good luck. You're gonna need to be like 1450.
Subcool. And split the difference. It's either going to be 3 or 5 typically. P band, I band, then ramp down. Temperature at 100 bar. Oh, this is where it's setting temperature at 100 bar. So I think this is where it's setting the slope, right? Like that. But I thought
you probably shouldn't mess with that setting.
Yeah.
That's probably one of those settings where it's oops. That's way worse.
So there's a setting in the iPro where it says slope, and then it's essentially where they're setting where they're making their fictitious.
Oh yeah, I messed with that for a couple days.
Yeah,
we got it to work great.
Yeah, you're being sarcastic. I can't.
No, I'm being serious.
Okay,
but it's fixed now on a new one.
Multi-injector mode. We're not going to do any injectors. No.
Everybody keeps saying that, but I keep not seeing great things.
Gotcha. You only get the efficiency out of it when it's in a high ambient area, right? To get that lift. HP control, one stepper. Oh, we already did that. Damn it. Receiver control. We'll stop over here. So fixed set point, 520, 580. We do want to make sure that your fans and your receiver control I'm sorry, wrong one. Well, you want to make sure that your high pressure valve and your fan controls aren't interfering with each other. This essentially is just going to be whatever your flash tank set point is. And you want to set your max away from not being able to pop that damn relief. See, I don't know if this is the pressure max and min for the alarm or if that's actually for the reference.
No, that's your reference, max and min. But they do it the same way as when I was messing around with this the other day. They do it the same way as they do the.
Okay, so probably 560.
No, way tighter.
Lower?
Way tighter. So if my set point's 5, usually I go a bar up and a bar down. So if my set point's 515, I'll go 1 bar up from that, 1 bar down from that, because that's where the minimum is needed. At least in the 521, it needs at least a bar difference from set point. So I did the same thing on here, and I got it to work great.
Okay, so probably 515 for that.
Yep, and then go 1 bar up and 1 bar down.
You did right here.
Okay.
I went 15.
No, you hit the minimum pressure, so that's not your set point. So your fixed set. So you have the fixed set point. That is not a bar. 1 bar is way higher than 5 pounds difference.
Shit, I'm going the opposite. Oh, one bar is 14.5 psi. Yes.
If your set point's 520 and your minimum pressure is 515, that's not 14 pounds.
I have it at 520, 535.
Okay, look down below the next set point, the minimum.
Yes.
That's 5 pounds under the set point.
Damn it. You're right. 505. That's what I was doing the birth. Stop it. All right. Show REC in overview. Yes. Show advanced settings. It's AC support. No idea what AC support is. Receiver inlet minimum. Oh, that's going to be for the alarm. Sometimes I don't see a digital input for that. I did think I would have seen a digital input for that anyway. Go over. Using a stepper, monitor liquid level. Oh, there we go. Low switch. That's probably good enough. Receiver minimum OD rating. Easy PI. This is just once again, this is how fast it's gonna open and close that BGV. Start at 7. See where that goes.
So I've had a couple racks here as of late, some smaller ones where we've had to put a minimum HPV percentage.
Really? What is that?
Because we can't keep the rack running if the HPV shuts down. It actually made the rack run a lot better. Smaller stuff, real small.
What do you
Like we've had to set a minimum HPV when it's running and there's no issues with the receiver or head pressure issues. Like the HPV never shuts down more than 10%. Keeping the receiver loaded, keeping the rack running.
You have a lot of those issues because your racks they have no load in the wintertime where you're at because your temperature's so damn low.
Correct. You guys won't ever have that problem because 40 degrees, you're panicking, shutting down the whole town.
Stop it. Hot gas dump. Wow, I didn't know that was a thing. On the receiver, they have a hot gas dump.
Yeah, it'll work.
It would. Like if you, instead of, I don't know, would it make more sense to do a hot gas dump rather than the receiver bypass? Instead of the three-way valve. Like
I am not a fan of the receiver bypass. I am and I'm not. Like I see its potential. I see its potential for raising the load, but also hot gas dump would cause rapid boiling, which is going to load up. But again, you're not going to get your heat reclaim benefits out of it. I guess it just depends on what flavor you're going with. Obviously, hot gas dump would be a lot easier to control and a lot easier to manage and a lot easier for guys to understand.
Yeah, because it's exactly like a chemical refrigerant rack, right? Essentially the HPV would hold back like an A8 valve, right? What are you laughing at?
That your kids are fighting, my kids are fighting on the other end.
No, I don't know. Elena's yelling at somebody. Apparently there was a boy that started a fight with her and tried to punch her, and I guess punched her. And then like her big Goliath boyfriend stepped in and basically beat the crap out of the kid.
Jesus.
But yeah, so hot gas dump would be essentially like almost like your receiver repressurization valve, if you will. Let's see what it's going to enable at. Ooh, it enables at a pressure.
Yeah, it's got a delta pressure. Yeah, just more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah. I'm going to leave that off for right now. I'm trying to do something with the other stuff that I'm doing. All right. And so much other stuff. I don't know. We can do a part 2 where we show the oil management and actually how to do the calibration, how to actually do the logging, so people know how to do the logging. So you can,
and then the I/O setup too. That's another big one, is getting the I/O set up and the alarm parameters.
Yeah, because then you can stop pitching.
And then the other thing I wanted to go over is something like we had the week prior. So we have some racks coming out with 2 BGVs, and they're being controlled off an iPro. There's a problem here because they were controlling the HPV also off the iPro. On the iPro, you have 2 analog outputs that can be used for the HPV or the BGV. There's a 0 to 10 volt signal. If you're using like an iCAD actuator, you could drive it off that. Or if you're using like an external actuator, you could drive it off that. Just because in the controller, if you set it to 2 BGVs and try to use one of the analog outputs, it's just mirroring the BGVs at that point. So you can't do it like that. You need another EXVD driver, or you need an entire separate iPro to drive the other flash gas bypass valve. Or you need to have an external driver and mirror it off of the HPV. So that would be the easiest way to do it. If you had just a standard driver, a Danfoss EKE driver, and you were, say, the BGV was output 1, and you hook the analog output to output 1, and you could drive them both at the same time, one off the iPro, one off the valve driver.
Would you have 2 separate analog outputs driving 2 separate E1Ks?
No, you can tie them together, same signal.
No, I know you can. I said, but I'm asking, would you?
No, because the other analog output is going to be the HPV no matter what on the iPro. So
no, I'm saying if you have 2 valves,
yeah,
on 2 valves coming from one, because we only have the one, we know we can't set up both of them to be the BGV driver off there. So you take your one analog output and essentially just go together with both of them.
Yep.
Okay. And that's if the rack actually needed both of them for capacity, unless it needed one for redundancy, right?
Correct. If it's redundancy, to me, they should both be wired off a standalone driver, and then it should be enabled.
So in case you have a failure or a high pressure type situation, you can then enable the other one and say, hey, turn on and fix your pressure issues.
Correct. But if you get one of these racks out here and they're wired up this way, because it's how they show on the prints, and I've seen 2 of them now, that it's programmed wrong. You know, valve 1 should always be the HPV, and it should be coming off AO1 or should be coming off valve driver 1. Valve driver 2 should always be the BGV. Whether you're using the actual valve driver, EXVED, or what is it now?
E1KE.
Yeah, E1KE.
That's Danfoss 1.
No, I'm talking about the Copeland driver. It's either an EXVD or
something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember the acronym, but that should either be driving one of the valves, and then the analog output signal to a separate valve driver is going to be your easiest to drive the next valve. Otherwise, if they're both set to flash gas bypass valve, your HPVs is going to be doing whatever the flash gas bypass valve is, and then the rack's going to have nothing but issues. So I've only seen it on one manufacturer so far, but it seems like they're sending racks out there like pre-built, whether you need the second or the BGV or don't need it. That's one thing. So it may just be as simple as unplugging one of them, driving it shut and unplugging it, and then fixing the programming.
Done. All right. It's Sunday, as you said, and I'm sure you got some Jeep fixing to do from bashing the hell out of yours yesterday. So I guess we'll see you guys next time.
Yep.